Hey, what's up, everyone? So, for this video, I wanted to do something different where we add the players, I guess the post match analysis from the players. And we're lucky enough to have Brian commentating on some of this. And hopefully, you guys find this somewhat interesting, intriguing, and maybe insightful. So, anyway, before we get started, we have Todd from Big Boy Tennis with us. I wanted to have him say a couple words about the match. So here's Todd.
So this was a really interesting match. First set, second set, it looks like it was very one-sided, and then they go to this amazing super tiebreaker. And one thing I'm really impressed with is just thinking about the age difference. These guys, Riley and James, they look like young guys. Young athletic guys, and we got Jason and Brian here that a little bit older than them,
Just a little bit.
but they're still are showing their stuff. Out there, they're using their their smartness of tennis, their tennis wit out there to come back and win that super tiebreaker. I mean, you could see them hitting shots that put pressure on the other team when it really counted. Going for the smart tennis shots. Keeping the ball in play, getting those good lobs, et cetera, et cetera. So that's really impressive tennis, and it was a really awesome thing that happened there. Might not see that every day, right? A big comeback like that. So that was really cool.
All right, thanks a lot, Todd. So James and Riley ended up smoking us in the first set 6-1. They played really, really well. I think at the time, both myself and Brian felt we weren't playing that badly. And during one of the changeovers, we were a little bit perplexed, confused as to what was going on because, yeah, we weren't playing that badly, but we were losing like 0-5 or 1-4. But we did feel that they were on fire. Everything that they were touching was almost magical at that point. So they were making some amazing gets and shots that we would normally not expect, right?
Well, I definitely remember we felt like everything that they were hitting in the first set was going in, whether it was intentional or a shank or whatever. And we just thought that is not going to last, and we will, as long as we keep playing our game, then we'll be fine. And that happened. But also, I don't think they played as well in the second set. And so I think that when we went into this tiebreaker and they started playing a little bit better, we weren't necessarily prepared for that. And I think that becomes evident here.
So that's a great point Brian brought up, that you guys should remind yourself and your partner as well is, regardless of how well your opponents are playing, don't get discouraged, don't get intimidated, stay the course, stay with your game plan, stay positive, just control what you can control. Okay, I think that's the main part. And another main point is just to stay mentally and emotionally alert, positive, keep the energy and intensity high. It's easy to kind of get discouraged and lose that little intensity and footwork, which can cost you a couple points, and it could lead to a game, and et cetera, et cetera. So anyway, this is going to be leading up to the third set tiebreaker, which I'll let you guys watch here. It's quite entertaining. I'm thinking as I'm serving every ball, first serve into the backhand. That's a great poach and move by Brian, recognizing the weaker return. In these tight and intense situations, it's quite easy to become complacent and conservative with your footwork and your intensity. You want to remember to stay aggressive if and when you can, especially at the net.
That last return I missed was one that I usually like, running around my backhand, and thought I had a good chance at it, but just didn't quite get around it quick enough, I guess, and dumped it in the net.
Man, James hit that second serve so good, really deep and flat. Brian served a great first serve to the backhand. The play was for me to poach, which I did. I think that was a great call, great play. I just swung way too much.
A makeable volley, but not an easy volley. That return was hit well.
So I'm going to do a little fake poach here. We're down 1-5. But again, remember to stay active, alert, and aggressive if and when you can up at the net, especially in these tight, intense situations. Keep moving your feet. That was a really good serve right in the corner by Riley. So now they're serving 6-2. Everybody did a great job not double faulting in the 10-point tiebreaker because every point counts. I got lucky that let one of my volleys go and it landed in. So it's 3 serving 6 now. And that was a great return and great move. Capitalize on that really good return.
Now, before that last point, I still had very high confidence. I felt like we were going to win these next 2 points on Jason's serve and be right back in it.
So it's nice little exchange there. But, yep, I dropped both of my serves. And then that last volley was barely out, as you can see.
One I definitely shouldn't have missed.
Big kudos to James here. Great second serve. Good play. So I'm going to freeze this just for a second, but what am I thinking? He's serving at 9-3 with a lot of match points. My thought process is get the return back in. Riley's pretty close up to the net. He's missed a couple overheads. It looked a little shaky. I'm going to try to get it up to his backhand side if possible and follow it in. So 1 match point saved out of a lot, right? The funny story is at the changeover, our teammates were watching, and I looked at them and I sarcastically said, "You guys ready for a comeback?" I don't know how much Brian believed in me, but I certainly didn't mean it. I just, at that point, we're down a lot. I wanted to stay loose, have a little sense of humor. And I don't know what you remember from it, Brian, but
I don't remember, but I do remember Jason telling our teammates that we were going to come back when we were down 4-9, and I just kind of thought, yeah, whatever. But yeah, and like I said, at 3-6, I still had confidence. By this point, being down 4-9, I wasn't really expecting to win at this point, but kind of my thought was just make one shot at a time and see what happens.
Brian makes a huge clutch first serve in here, but at the same time, I'm making a move up at the net, giving some presence. So again, reminder, do not be stagnant and lazy up at the net, especially in these clutch, tight, intense moments. Keep your feet moving, be alert, be aggressive if and when you can up at the net.
So these, these next 2 points here, were definitely probably the biggest of the match for us, at least, and also probably for them. There's probably the 2 that they remember the most.
Yeah, they got both on their serves. That was a great return. That volley was ridiculously good. Oh, jeez. So that's just wide, right? So, to save that point was ginormous. He hit a crazy volley back Brian up. He was on his back, but he was able to hit that forehand back down low and was somehow in the right position to get one lob, and he just missed that floating ball out, barely.
I'm sure by this point they were starting to feel a little bit of pressure.
Ooh, good serve. Barely got it back. This is another huge point. I think that was a big one. Made that lob. We had a chance to get back in on this one as I was watching. I'm like, oh, we're still so much in the defense, kind of groove. And again.
And he just barely missed that one. And we played very conservative in that point. But I think we had kind of come back so far. We didn't want to end on an error. And, this was, at this point, even though we're still losing, now, at this point, I was thinking we were going to win after winning. The momentum had come back to our side, I felt like.
Yeah, it's really big. 5 points in a row. I think at this point, I really believe that we're back in. Obviously, we're playing defense. We're kind of conservative. You can also see they were conservative and tight as well. Both teams obviously didn't want to end on an error. I wanted to do a little close up because we're pretty sure at that time the ball was out, but again, it looks pretty close when it's going fast. So, yep, verified that was out on camera. So quite a crazy, teeter-totter roller coaster ride of a tiebreaker here.
We've all been on the other side of this one, so it's nice when you are coming back instead of letting your opponent do it.
Right. So here, these next 2 points, I know it's ultra critical. I got 2 serves. I really, really wanted to make the, both first serves in if possible. So
Got a huge serve up high and out wide by Jason on that one. Very hard for them to keep it away from the net player. So kind of set me up to attack on that one.
So again, the alert, aggressive volley paid off in this big clutch point. Bryant could have easily let this ball go, but he cut it off really well. It went at James. Good reaction volley by James, but Brian kept on the aggressiveness. He was right on top of the net, went with a bigger volley again at James, and we ended up winning the point, so that was huge. Not facing match point for the first time, this was a huge relief, I remember. So that was quite a journey up until this point. Again, backhand, kick serve to the backhand, and it's just like a strategy, if you just got to go with what you feel works until it really doesn't. So, if they come up with the goods, it's too good, but here we are.
Now, I'm sure by this point, they were extremely frustrated having been up 9-3 and then now being down match point. I'm sure they were thinking, how did this happen?
Right.
First serve,
Let first serve again. So, sorry, I'm gonna stop this really quick because we have match point. This is our first match point. Were you thinking like anything? Were you like thinking I'm gonna be aggressive with this return, just hit it, or just lob it back?
I don't remember what I was thinking. Eventually, I ended up getting a look at a second serve on this point. And so I don't remember at this point what I was thinking, to be honest. But I do know once he had let and then missed the second serve, or missed the first serve, I had a feeling that he wasn't going to hit it, really paint the line towards my backhand. So I thought I could take just a kind of a half step around and get a forehand and take a good cut at it. And that was my game plan once I got a look at the second serve.
Okay, so there you have it. I mean, obviously Brian's got a great forehand. That's his weapon. And at match point, it's great to use your weapon. And just kind of no fear, just kind of hit it type of deal.
Yeah, that was what I thought. And like I said, I felt after coming back all the way back from 9-3, I was feeling pretty confident at this point. And, I don't know if it's, great percentage tennis. But I definitely wanted to win the point with a good shot, if I could.
Yeah, yep, and you certainly did, Brian. Thank you for ending it with your signature big forehand Brian shot. What a huge relief, It was definitely a roller coaster match, but there's a few key pointers that I wanted to go over. One thing that I didn't really talk about that is also important. I played doubles mainly in the USTA league. I played with, a lot of different partners, and I feel some of the things that people don't think about that are important is again, keeping that livelihood, that energy, and it's really important to obviously share that as partners. But another thing is the tempo that you play the points and in between points. I think that's really important because I felt like when I played with Brian here, our tempo was matched. We were kind of getting together to discuss
the strategies and the game plan, even to picking up balls, to getting water. I didn't feel like, oh man, Brian's like already on the other side. I better hurry on, or I didn't feel like I was like rushing Brian. I don't know if you felt that way, Brian, but I think that's really important because I have played a couple matches where I felt like my partner and I did not sync on the timing level of that, and I think that's quite important. So if you go out there, make sure maybe talk beforehand with your partner. Do you like playing fast? Do you like playing slower? But the important thing is to kind of sync your tempo together, so you're kind of more of a unit versus kind of staggered and separate. But yeah, thanks again, guys, for watching, and again, give BBT some love, Big Boy Tennis, and yeah, catch you on the next one.
Thanks for watching, guys.